This is Nick the Quick, and we always start our season off with Dave the Rave, and he carries the opening month with a great rundown of high school football. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Dave. You said you had some things to talk about.
Yeah, high school football this season. It's been pretty interesting. You know, some of the teams that we're so used to seeing up at the top aren't quite as good as they used to be, and some of the teams that have been falling out of grace are now back in. An example is Middletown South and Toms River North already have a loss in their first games, and those are two programs that we're used to seeing, you know, pretty much dominate in their groups. And teams that have been down for a little bit, such as Manalapan and RBC, it looks to me that they're going to be back up on the top again. So I think that's an interesting point. Manalapan was kind of, was good last year also, but I think, well, they were mostly juniors, and they're gonna be senior dominated this year. RBC, they're just right back where they were a couple of years ago. So that we find pretty interesting. I compiled a little list of what I call the M's, with the letter M. Some real good players that looking for D1 groups, kids that are being looked at by a lot of colleges, and their last names seems to begin with the letter M. So we got the tight end Kamir Mims from Long Branch, a 6'5" kid. He's a real good one. Quarterback Eddie Morales from Howell. Running back name Mayfield from Manalapan. Wide receiver Elijah McAllister. He's a real good one. He's been out for a couple years. He is now back. He had some knee injuries. Finally, his senior year, he's healthy again. Emmett McNamara, good defensive, offensive lineman from Red Bank Catholic. Justin Marcus, tight end from Marlboro. Connor Morgan, running back from Manasquan. We saw him play last week. And Ryan Mazik is a real good receiver from Howe. So I call them the M's. They're all last names with M's, and they're all looking for D1 scholarships. And we got another couple kids, a couple of quarterbacks this year that are pretty good. And Ashante Worthy from Freehold, not your typical quarterback, more of a running kid. They actually moved him from running back to quarterback last year, and it worked out very well. They won like 5-6 games in a row once they moved him. And George Pearson, the Pearson name. He's a nephew, I think, of Preston Pearson. He's a Mater Day kid. He's what?
Drew.
Okay.
The Hail Mary, that one?
He's Drew Pearson, my bad. Quarterback from Mater Day. And just an aside real quick, and then we'll get going, is I looked at all the divisions to see which ones were really, tough and loaded. And B North seemed like it was really, really tough. So division you probably wouldn't want your team in. It's got Manasquan, it's state champ, Wallace state champ, Long Branch, who's real good this year, Middletown North, who's real good this year, Middletown South, who was it's a question mark, Red Bank Catholic, and Ocean Township, all in the same division.
Wow, that's unbelievable. That's the way the A South used to be.
Yes.
Remember when they had Brick and Jackson, right. And great teams.
And they were all ranked in the top 10, all from the same, right? All from the A South.
So, Dave, it's going to be probably a little bit of a scramble for you to start us off with a number one. So let's get through that list because it does take some time.
That's fine.
Who do you like up top?
Up top is Manalapan, and Manalapan was 10-1 last year. They actually beat the eventual winner Piscataway during the regular season, and then in the finals ended up losing to him 34-13. So they started out with a good 44-0 win over Marlboro this year. They got a friendly schedule, which means that, I think everybody in their division is beatable. They got a real good quarterback in Luke Corcione. He had 2,000 yards, 27 touchdowns last year. The real good running back we talked about named Mayfield. Chris Masmick, he's the fullback. And Samir Blacknall, the brother of the receiver, I think he's at Penn State now. So, he's a real good athlete. So that, good fullback, good running back, good quarterback. Senior receiver Scott Schnitzer, also a big standout there. Have tough games in week 6 semi-tough games, and with Howell's ranked high this year, and they have back with their arch enemy Piscataway in Week 8. So those are their toughest games of the season.
Let me ask you this, Dave. You coached and I coached. I always believed in the senior theory. I always waited to get my kids to be seniors. What do you think of that? Do you like your senior players?
You know, it's funny. It's funny because most of the teams that I've seen, end up winning state championships were actually dominated by juniors, and they had some scattered seniors to round it out. And then by the time they became seniors, people were gunning for them. I mean, they knew that this was a good team, and they gunned for them, and they weren't quite as good, some of the teams, when they were seniors as they were when they were juniors, at least as far as, recent history of high school football.
So they snuck up on you as juniors.
Yes.
People didn't take them as legit.
Right.
They get that big season in, and then the next year, everybody's ready.
And I think an example of that would be Toms River North, with Toms River North, who had won the state championship when they had all juniors. And then the following year, which was last season, they had all seniors, and they ended up losing the state championship. They would have been an undefeated state champion. They lost in the finals last year, but they were loaded with all seniors and top-notch seniors. So that was just an example of how it's been going lately.
Okay, who you got in the 2-hole?
Well, 2-hole. Let's see. We got Manalapan plays Southern. I'm sorry. 2-hole is RBC. And RBC had a huge win over Middletown South, a good Middletown South. We had, some teams guys had them ranked 9th, 10th. I think we had them 11th, just out of the top 10. Red Bank was 5-5 last year. They look like they're on a course for some real good wins this year, with a good win over Middletown South. Next week they play Middletown North, who's real good, and we'll talk about them. They got a good quarterback in Steve Libisher, great running back in Zach Baer, Nick Bruska, and Matt Ansell, and tight end Kevin Bauman. They have, as usual, Red Bank Catholic is loaded with offensive linemen. They can have average running backs, and you're just going to lose, because they always have great offensive linemen. And
do you believe in that offensive line stuff?
Absolutely. I'd rather
you
have.
You were a back, right?
I was a fullback and a linebacker, but
so you can have not a great back, but with a good line, it makes them real good.
Absolutely. You can win games on 3 yards in a cloud of dust. You don't, as long as you're making holes, somebody's going to be able to get through them.
The old Woody Hayes.
We'll get three, and we saw a little bit of that last week in Manasquan. Manasquan was a 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and so was Southern. Southern came back to tie Central, just straight ahead dives, and they came back and tied. They eventually lost in overtime, but they're a good, strong, powerful offensive line dominated team.
See, because they say Notre Dame has a good offensive line this year, but I watched the Georgia game. Georgia must have a heck of a defense. Them guys are all over the place. You see that?
Well, that'll do it. A good defense will definitely,
These guys are coming. They hit the quarterback.
Yeah.
Guys, are you watching that? How many times the quarterback gets slaughtered? Maybe 5, 6? I mean, blindsided.
Well, they're very quick in the second level and the third level. Even if they're getting some decent blocks up in the, against the defensive linemen, their linebackers were all over the place. And their D-backs coming up for run support very quickly.
Well, I think his name was Smith or Jones. That guy was phenomenal. He had like 10 tackles.
Okay.
He was all over the place.
Okay.
Who you got in the next hole?
Okay. We're looking at the number 3 team. So we got Vanellopen and Red Bank Catholic, 1 and 2. 3 is we got St. John Vianney, and St. John Vianney could be easily number 1.
Easily?
They could be number 1 easily.
Well, they had that big win.
They had a 69-7 win over Matawan last week. We don't know what they're going to do when they start playing better teams, but they were 10-1 last year, and their only loss last year was to St. Joe Montville with the one, and I think that was a quarterfinal loss, 45-20. But a big win last week. They have won 29 straight. Actually, now it's 30 straight games versus Shore Conference teams, and 3 straight Class A Central Division titles now. They have first-team All-Shore linebacker and Johnny Buchanan, who's also a very good running back. So he's running back, linebacker. He's a kid that's probably up for some looks from some D1 programs. He's 6'1", 210, plays defense. He's a linebacker and a fullback. You got Nick DeSenick. He's a first-team All-Shore defensive end. When I looked at these guys, I saw how many of these kids were being looked at by D1 programs. I said, they got to be in the top 10, easily. But they're probably top 3. Hazik Daniels is a good quarterback. They got a good receivers in Sam East and Zaire Sterling. So very loaded teams. It's a tough schedule coming down the pike. So if they can come out and beat this schedule, they will probably move up to number 1. They have to play Rumson, Red Bank Catholic, and Middletown South week 6, 7, and 8.
Wow. They're going to have to get out. I always think that Rumson, I don't know what they do, but they always come up with something, right?
I don't know what they feed those kids up there.
You see this little town, they always think they're real rich.
Yeah, it is. It's a small town. They were Group 2. Now they're Group 3, but they seem to put together a team with 100 kids that come out for football. It's like how did 100 kids come out
do it
in a Group 2 school?
Little.
Group 3 now, but where do they find 100
and they win
kids?
Right?
I don't know how they do it, but they do. They got a game Friday against Raritan. St. John Vianney has a game against Raritan. Rumson, that you speak about Rumson, they're our number 4 team. They were 9-3 last year, and they won, of course, another state sectional title. That's 4 in a row.
Wow.
They're looking for their 5th in a row. They won last year over South Plainfield 27-22. They had a 56-13 win over Raritan last week. They have a bye coming up already. So they got 4 state championships, and they're looking for another one. They're trying to join. Manasquan's the only team that has 5 in a row. So if Rumson can win their 5th, there'll be another team that has 5 state championships.
Was that with Vic Caboo?
That was, I'm pretty sure that was with Vic Caboo. That was back when. So they got a good tight end, defensive end. We talked about Elijah McAllister. He was the kid that we talked about that was knee injury for 2 seasons. Now he's a senior. He's finally back. He's a big, strong 6'4", 240 tight end. He's being recruited. Tailback Peter Lucas, Alex Malagian, linebackers Keegan Woods and Christian Lanzalato. Couple good offensive line and Justin Johnson. So they're looking to get into the history books with 5 state championships in a row.
That's amazing.
So that's our numbers 3 and 4. So, and then you talked to me a little bit about Mater Day, and yeah, they're up there. They're for sure.
I don't know what it is about this Mater Day, but we did them in basketball last year against, who did we have them? Randy School. Randy. Unbelievable game. Was overtime, and right. The kid went to Princeton. I was talking to somebody. The kid that got Player of the Year. Yeah, Barnes went. He's in Princeton now.
Okay.
But we did a great game. There was like 10 dunks in the game, Dave. It was unbelievable. But
yeah, there's some athletes there.
And we go up to this place, and Randy School. Whoever heard of it? It looked like Virginia. It was unbelievable. It's a place from Fort Mom. Do you know where it is?
No, I never. We've never been there because they don't have a football team. So
yeah, the gym was like that. A pool, they had a tennis course. It was like whoa.
Yeah, nice.
And and then these 2 teams went head to head, and thinking that they were going to close Mater Day 3 years ago.
Yes.
So that's why I can't figure all this out. That they're putting these football and basketball teams together.
Yeah, well, they
a little bit of recruiting.
Yeah, I think the new people there are understand what most of the other Catholic schools understand, is that you get financial support and notoriety through athletics.
I thoroughly believe it.
If you got a good basketball team, you got a good, I remember Mondon, whatever it was, 15 years ago, they had a great basketball team, and they were known for basketball, and kids went to Mondon just to go be part of the basketball program, either to be a spectator and root for their team, to clap for a winner, or whatever it was. They went, and then they kind of died off. Of course, they're trying to build that back up. Bringing in some good coaches once again, but that's what Matter Day, I think, has learned that lesson.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you a question about Mondon. They have an unbelievable football staff, don't they? Do they have any football players?
They certainly do.
Have they played yet?
Yeah, they're talking about. They brought the Wall coaches who had just won a state championship, who also won a state championship at Brick, who also won a state championship at Toms River North, in Curcione, the head coach, and Chip LaBarca Jr., who, is a head coach in his own right, a very good head coach in his own right.
Are unbelievable.
Right.
It's a whole family.
Right. Curcione is a defensive mind, and LaBarca Jr. is an offensive mind, so it works out very good.
Okay.
So
do you think they'll do anything at Mondon?
Oh, I think it's just a matter of time.
Really?
It's just a matter of time, yeah. They already look better in their first game than they have in a long time. They lost, but they look better. They look like there's a rhyme and reason to what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
And I think it will eventually pay off.
Okay.
But yeah, they Chippy does a great job, and Curcione. These guys they're well-seasoned guys who've won state championships. They know what they're doing.
Okay. Who you got up next?
I got Matter Day. I'm sorry. Matter Day is in the 5-hole. They were 12-0 state champions last year. They beat Holy Spirit in the finals 26-20. Last week they beat Keensburg 20-6. We thought maybe it would be a little bit bigger of a spread, but a win is a win. They have a bye next week, so we're going to look at them and continue to see if they progress. They had a 12-0 season and the program's first sectional title in their history. We talked about their quarterback, George Pearson. He's a 4-year starter. He has already committed to Central Michigan, from what I understand. He's a good one. Linebacker Russell Ferris, defensive lineman Isaiah Henderson, and a good wide receiver in Kyle Devaney. What was interesting was Matter Day was originally scheduled to play this season South River, Denellen, and Highland Park as part of their regular season. Their coach has been saying all along that he's not happy with what he's getting in front of him in the Shore Conference, and asked to play harder teams. He was granted his wish. They will be playing instead of South River, Denellen, and Highland Park. They have now been replaced by Delbarton, Lincoln, and a team from Canada, from Ontario, Canada, called Canada Prep. So are they going to win every game this year? I don't think so, but
I know they're not beating Delbarton.
If they show a good, but this is what they're asking for. They
want it, huh?
Well, they were beating teams, like 60-0 last year, and they're like, can we play some harder teams, and because they are a Catholic school. They want to play other teams, and it's been going on all around the state, where some of the Catholic schools have been granted permission.
They're dominating, aren't
play,
they?
Yeah, they dominate.
The ones and twos. Who's in one? Don Bosco again? I saw that score.
It was kind of get ugly during the regular season. They were beating teams so badly, But this coach is, he brought in a lot of kids from where he was from, and it seems to be continuing. There's a lot of kids coming to the program.
All right.
So that's Matter Days in the 5-hole. But he asked for harder teams, huh? You like that, huh?
I like that, really.
I admire that.
Not me. I used to play Admiral Farragut 6 times. That was 6 wins. I had Stan Slavey.
Yeah.
I played Stan. He was the football.
Yeah, and then when they did get athletes,
baseball coach.
Yeah, when they did get athletes, they all left. But they were closing up the school, and the kids left.
But his football guys were always good.
Yeah, well, they had the GPs,
Yeah.
So they had
5-year guys.
Yeah, they had a lot of those guys playing. Number 6 is Long Branch, who just beat number 6 Manasquan, formerly number 6 Manasquan. They were 2-8 last year, but this year they look really good. They beat Manasquan 28-19. They have a bye next week. The Green Wave are filled with skill positions. They look really, really good. They're going to challenge. They should challenge for the B North this year. Kamir Mims, we spoke about, the tight end, 6'5". Juwan Wilkins, the quarterback, and they have this really, really outstanding receiver. And let me get his last name right. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Tim Foskey. Foskey, 6'4", 183, unbelievable.
Really?
Unbelievable. He had 3 touchdown passes, receptions last week against Manasquan, and 3 or 4 other really extremely pretty darn good other receptions besides the 3 touchdown passes. He's a good one. And another good running back and defensive back, Kevin Porch, who's probably going to be recruited more as a defensive back.
Okay.
So he's probably those are 3 or 4 defensive D1 kids that are going to get looks from D1 programs. Their number 8 is Long Branch. No, I'm sorry, number 6. My bad. Number 6.
Nothing from Ocean County yet, huh?
I'm glad you said that, because that was a point we were going to make at the end.
Last year we had a couple.
There is one team from Ocean County, and they're number 10. You want me to get to that, or you want to get?
No, I want to. We'll wait for that. We'll wait for it. We'll wait for you. We'll get
one
to
team
because last year North was 1 or 2. I remember
there was
a number of teams that
was
were
a number
doing
of teams
okay.
in the top 10 from Ocean County. There's 1 this year.
Wow,
1. All right, number 7, Middletown North, 9-3. They lost to Sayreville last year, 41-14. In the was it the finals? Finals, right? Pretty sure it was the finals. So Middletown North very good last year, and there's a lot of kids back. They had a 42-6 win over Neptune last week. They got a kid, Donald Glenn, was the quarterback there for a long time. Well, his younger brother is going to take over ex-quarterback. Sean Glenn will now be the quarterback. So he had some records, Donald Glenn. He had some good receivers to throw to, and Brandon Kuby, who's returner, Aiden Campbell. Kuby's a good one. He had 1,000 yards in both of his last 2 seasons, so he's a senior this year. Got a couple good running backs in Connor Welsh and Connor Robbins, along with tight end Austin DeWise. So they fill out the skill positions for them, and they also have one of the best kickers in the shore, which goes a long way, and Joey Cavanaugh. They'll be tested this week when they play number 3 Red Bank Catholic.
Okay.
So they'll have a real big.
So that's the 7 hole. Who's in the 8?
8 is Howell. Howell was 6-5 last year, but they got a lot of returners. Let's see. They have senior quarterback Eddie Morales, and we spoke about him as one of the M's.
Right.
He was
M's,
one of the M's. That looking at that teams are looking at for Division I prospect. He has a good receiver, Naz Brantley, who running back Nick Chambers, Ryan Mazik is a good receiver, and Pat Handy, good lineman Scott Prendergast, linebacker Brendan Baldwin. So Howell's got a pretty good chance. They're going to play another ranked team next week in Freehold, who is going to be our number 9 team. So 8 will play 9.
8 plays 9. I like that.
So that's a good one. That's Freehold Borough. They were 6-5 last year, but that's the quarterback Ashanti Worthy,
right?
Who was the running back. They switched him to quarterback, and they were on a roll ever since they moved him to quarterback. He's very dangerous. They won over Freehold Township 46-20 last week. Good receivers are Matt Krause, Javante Hare, Kajon Everett. They're going to try to replicate what they did. So they're going to play, like we said, number 8 Howell on Friday, and we're running out of time. I guess.
So get to the Ocean County.
So the one Ocean County team, and it was close. It was between Brick and Central, but I went with Brick.
Oh, you went with Brick. I know you.
I went with the Green. Yeah, the Green.
Did they win?
They did win. They beat Brick Memorial 27-7.
27-7
over Brick Memorial.
That was a pretty big win.
Yeah, they lost in the finals last year to Allentown, 41-6. Good Allentown team.
Really?
Yeah, very good Allentown.
I can't imagine
They're good again this year, Allentown.
Wow.
So, there are only Ocean County teams in the LSN top 10. And the reason why is they have 7 players back on defense from a very talented junior class. 6 of the starters were on defense were sophomores last year, with 10 starters in all that were sophomores last year. So they're going to be good. They got all juniors this year, returning starters. They have a good sophomore quarterback in Anthony Prado, two-way standout running back in Joey Curcio, and junior Jimmy Leblo, and senior running back / wide receiver Cole Rochelle. And we're going to cover their game this week as they play Jackson.
Oh, that's good.
So Lighthouse Sports will be there. So just
who's the new coach, though? Do you know him?
Yeah, I don't know. He was an assistant.
Huh?
Minstretta.
Minstretta. And Jackson got a new coach, too.
That's him.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
He's
the Jackson coach. So So
Danowitz is still at Brick? Oh, okay.
So tune in to Lighthouse Sports. My blog is up, From the Sidelines with Dave Scarpa. If you want to get onto the website and look at my blog, tells you a little bit about the upcoming season, what's going on. Well, thank you again for having me
Dave,
on.
you always do the job. You do the job. But
don't shut up.
You're great. You're great for me. I just let you go because you know your stuff. But the thing of it is, do you see that top 5 changing much or no?
Yeah, it's changed a lot because of those 2 teams that we spoke about, North and Middletown South, are both getting beat early on. That's very unusual, and some of the other cream is now rising to the top. So.
All right, David, I'm going to make a pick, and I never do this. The guys will tell you, I'm going to say RBC is going to finish number 1. I just have a gut feeling on them.
I wouldn't doubt that one bit.
But great show, as usual. And remember, kids, just don't go out and watch a game in the stands or watch it on television. Get out and participate. Go into one of the flag football leagues, the soccer leagues. Get out and into the Pee-wee leagues. But remember to stay off that alcohol and drugs, and especially in the Ocean County area in Monmouth, there's a lot of problems with heroin. So Nick the Quick signing off, and a great job by Dave the Rave, as usual.